The real estate in Hawaii ranges wildly in price. You can buy a lot for $7,000, and then on the same island, there's $70 million beachfront estates. Recently, I got interested to find out what were the most expensive properties ever sold in Hawaii, particularly on the Big Island because that's where I live. I came across some interesting stuff, so I thought I would make a video out of this. So my first search criteria that I used is $50 million as the minimum price point. I wanted to see all the properties that sold that were over $50 million. And I also want to do active listings, sold, withdrawn, or expired. And the reason I'm doing that is because only one of them actually sold. Everything else was either withdrawn or it expired. I am also not putting in any sold date range because I want this to be all-time records. When the price tags of properties get this high, it becomes a completely different ballgame. I think a lot of these listings that were withdrawn were probably simply sold off market. They didn't want this to be public information. And if we go up and look at the only listing that actually sold, it was listed for $70 million, but it actually ended up selling for $46 million. Another interesting thing to note is days on market. This property was on the market for 535 days. That's a long time, but not nearly as long as this guy right over here. I think this is the longest one on this list. If we calculate this, I wonder how many years that was. Okay, so they were trying to sell it for a little bit over 4.5 years and never did end up selling it. And if I had to guess, I'm pretty sure that all of these listings with these insane price tags did get offers on them, but these offers were probably similar to this guy right here. Probably like half price of whatever they were asking for, and all of these folks did not agree, and they ended up either withdrawing, selling off market, or the listing simply expired. Talking about setting records, there was one property on Oahu that did sell for a little bit over $65 million. This oceanfront property is pretty much like a mini resort. If we flip through these pictures, you're going to see what I mean. And as far as I know, there were quite a few big name celebrities that bought a lot of land in Hawaii. People like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Oprah to name a few. But because most of these people want their transactions to remain private, they do these purchases through LLCs and off-market. As I was looking at these, another thing I was paying attention to is how much land comes with every property. There were a few of them that stood out. Like this one, for example, it came with 1,395 acres. That's a lot of land. This is on the island of Kauai, and I believe all of it is wild land. There's no structures on here. The amount of land that was being put up for sale is just staggering. Another property that was impressive to me is this one right here. It was for sale for $52 million, and it only has 1.5 acres of land. Let's take a look at some of these pictures and see if we're going to see the $50 million value. I mean, right off the bat, this is an impressive location. Very beautiful place. Another important factor is that this property is located in Kailua, Kona, which is one of the most desirable cities to live in on the Big Island. I gotta admit, this property looks really nice. It's on this peninsula, so the ocean pretty much surrounds the whole property. And before some of you say that this property is just waiting to be hit by a tsunami, keep in mind that most of the tsunamis hit the other side of the island. And most of the rich people that own these properties, they never want pictures taken inside the houses. That's why we have pictures like this. So this must be some furniture inside the house, but of course they can't zoom out because the owner doesn't want you to see what's in their house. So a bunch of these pictures are just from the outside, and we don't really get to see what's inside the house unless you go and check it out in person. Definitely a gorgeous property. What do you think? Is it worth $50 million or not? I believe this property also came with 6 separate dwellings. So we got one right here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the next property that I want to point out is pretty crazy. It's located on the island of Maui. And if we zoom out on the map, you can actually see this gigantic chunk of land that was for sale. Look at that, from satellite view, this right here highlighted in red, that's the big chunk of land that was up for sale for $75 million. 3,547 acres. That is a lot of land. And it even has a house on it. A 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. Wow, that looks incredible. So I can see that this would be a little bit of a turnoff for somebody that would like to buy a giant piece of land, because these areas inside of the property right here are actually not part of the property. So you would own the land around them, but not this. I always love these green valleys. Reminds me of Windows XP. We got some local beef in the photo shoot as well. And honestly, this just looks amazing. Imagine living here. And the last property that caught my attention was this guy right over here. And that's because of the 2 lava fields on either side of the property. There's one that's actually in the property line, and then one that's a little bit further out. This just means that whenever the volcano erupted up on top here, we had lava that flowed all the way to the ocean on this side, and we had lava that flowed all the way to the ocean on this side. And just because the center area is green, it doesn't mean that lava never flowed here. It just means that the lava flow that happened here is a lot older than the stuff on the side. So for example, this black stuff could be 1,000 years old, and the green stuff is 3,000 years old. But it's definitely interesting to see the outline of how the lava was flowing. Oh wow, I wasn't really expecting that, but it looks like this property also has its own little private beach. Well guys, and I think I'm going to end this video here. Thank you so much for joining me on my exploration. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. And if you're still here and not in the comment section below, listen to this. The only thing flat earthers have to fear is fear itself. And did you know that the only difference between a dad joke and a bad joke is the first letter?